Hello, Washington football family, and welcome to another edition of the Washington Wrap. This is a single issue, 10-minute per episode show where we start a countdown clock and really try to wrap up one issue in 10 minutes. Hence the name of the show. Crazy how that works. On today's episode, we're talking about and we're trying to understand and we're trying to answer what the ceiling is for this Washington football team now as we enter the business end of the 2021 regular season. Because right now, as it stands, famously, they're sitting in that 7th seed spot in the NFC. That means playoffs are there. You know, we're in the playoffs if the season ended today. We're on a 3-game winning streak. The team's looking really, really hot. So is it sustainable? Is this a flash in the pan? Or should this be considered the new baseline? So let's start a countdown clock and bring in my co-host to talk about this. So, clock starting now, and we're going to start with Felix because you just happened to be in the top of the frame and you found my eyes first. So Felix, let's talk about real quick the last 3 weeks and the 3 wins and everything like that. Is this a matter of circumstance, or has the team just come out of the bye in much better form? Like, what's changed, and is it sustainable?
I think a couple of things have changed. First, the schedule changed. We had played a lot of tough opponents, and then the schedule got lighter, which always helps. Second, I think it's more attention to detail. And lastly, I think it's mostly putting people in the correct position. I want to speak on the defense because I know Robbie will speak on the offense. But the movement of Landon Collins to down safety, as Coach Rivera said Monday night, as linebacker has solidified so many other people's roles on the team, because now Bobby Collins can be that single high free safety that he was signed to be, and Cam Curl can be the strong safety that can do 5 or 6 different things. So that made the entire secondary better. So now, outside of that one miscue they had on Monday night, we haven't seen the big miscues over the top from the secondary, which allows the defensive line to get home, which they all work hand in hand. So I think that is the biggest key. People have been put in the roles which help the team succeed the best. So yeah. I do think it's sustainable. I do not think they're going to win all 7 games remaining, or 6 games remaining. But I do think they're going to win a majority of those games and be very competitive up to the last game of the season.
Well, a couple of things that we'll build upon from there before we jump into you, Robbie. Those last 6 games remaining, we've said this before, and everyone I think knows this now, but 5 of those are NFC East Division games. So the more of those you win, they're like a double up, especially with 2 games left against the Cowboys. You win those 2 specifically, and things get really interesting really quickly. And real quick on the defense, you mentioned Cam Curl, you mentioned Bobby McCain, both of who have been playing really well, Cam Curl especially. But I want to also single out William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller, because they both famously started the season pretty poorly, especially William Jackson. A bunch of those sort of blown coverage, deep touchdowns that we saw early in the season got attributed to him, some rightly, some wrongly, but both have been playing excellent at corner the past few weeks as well. And I'm not sure if that's entirely because Landon Collins of the move and, adjustments, or I don't really know what's happened there. But
also, let me say, someone who's playing well and no one's mentioning his name, Danny Johnson has taken over as the slot corner, and he's been playing amazing. And that even goes back to the Green Bay game. If you look at him from the Green Bay game on, when he took over that nickel corner, he's been playing great. So he's been very unheralded, but he's done his job.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of been the theme of this defense, hasn't it? And Robbie, we'll jump to you here. Like, there are some unheralded guys really playing great football, like Cole Holcomb, another one. Shaka Tony, who's come in with, Montez Sweat and Chase Young out, has kept quarterback pressure up. He hasn't got as many sacks as maybe he could have and should have, but he's been doing his job. And that's sort of been what we've also been seeing on the offensive side, especially in the offensive line. See, how's that for a segue for Robbie? Where, we're on our 4th center, but these guys are coming in and still getting the job done. And I think right now, if you asked me, who is one of the top 5 MVPs for this entire team this season, you'd have to single out the offensive line coach, John Matsko, because this unit has been incredible.
Yeah, and there really needs to be like an assistant coach of the year or something. Like, coach of the year always goes to a head coach, but there needs to be an assistant coach of the year, because what Matsko is doing with that offensive line is just, it's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. You got we've lost Roulier, we lost Larson, then Schweitzer, then now we're at Ismail at center, and it's been here you go. Here's another starting center. At least play wise, it's been a rotation of high quality depth, no matter who's in, and it's just
Cosby's
that's
in and
really
out, Scherf's in and out. Like it's just
yeah.
been
And Cornelius Lucas comes in at tackle and plays really well. I think the only bad egg I would say would probably be when Charles played at right tackle as a starter. He did not have a good outing. It kind of made me rethink his chances of playing outside at tackle for the future. But besides that, I think it's been very, very solid play from the offensive line in general. And I think you got to rest a lot of what's happened in these 3 weeks on them because they've really relied on what they've done on the ground blocking wise. And it's paved the way for Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick to take advantage of it, and it's taken pressure off of Taylor at the same time to kind of just manage the game and take what the defense gives him instead of trying to play hero ball. And I think that's really kind of the complementary football aspect of everything is really kind of gelled these past 3 weeks, and I'm hoping it can continue. I don't see why it shouldn't, even though they are battling some injuries, but it's all going very well right now.
Yeah, John Matsko, probably the second best offensive line coach working in Virginia right now. Keep your eye out on this kid working for Western Branch. I think he's got a bright future. But look, looping it back to what that means and what this sort of offensive line play, the defensive play that we've just covered talks about and means for the ceiling of this team. Real quick, the last 6 games, obviously the Raiders this week, the Sunday afternoon game. Then there's 5 NFC East games: Cowboys at Eagles, at Cowboys, Eagles at Giants. I guess, like everything in football, so much of this starts and ends with the quarterback position. And Taylor Heinicke has been playing, I would say, good, not great. Like he's been good. He's potentially been very good, and he's been doing enough. Now, if you look at his stats, they probably undersell what he's been doing. But if you look at the results, that maybe also sort of paints a fair indication. We put up 17 points against the Seahawks defense, which is pretty bad. Now, that could have been more. The kicker situation was obviously a factor there. Put up 27 points against the Panthers and put up 29 points against the Bucks. 3 good opponents that we've beaten there. Heinicke, he's in the Burgundy Gold. He's played 1 NFC East game. So he's not used to how crazy these NFC East games can be, and they are wild cards. So sort of looking past this weekend against the Raiders, what do we need to see that we haven't seen much of from Heinicke, or what do we need to see more of from Heinicke, Robbie? Do you think?
I say keep doing what you're doing. What you've been doing this past 3 games has been managing the game and letting your teammates handle the rest. Like you just get them the ball and guys are going to make plays happen. And I think that's really kind of what's gelled here is his ability to just take what he's given and have a good running game to kind of take some pressure off of him and make him not have to think I have to, play like Superman every play. So I think that's kind of really taken pressure off of him and let him be a little more relaxed and really get down to playing the way he normally plays. So I'd say just keep it rolling and let it ride and don't change up too much, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the way I see it.
And it's a great point. And Felix, what we've seen the past 3 weeks especially, but we saw some shades of it earlier in the season, is this mentality on offense of demoralizing the defense by just running the ball at them all day, controlling the time of possession, beating their defense into submission just with consistent pressure. We're not looking for big play after big play. We are just, it's not even dink and dunk. It's just, we will be consistent. Now, that's something that you talk to any footballer about, and they'll tell you that that's the best way to demoralize your opponents on defense. That if you just keep ramming it down their throats, eventually you'll break their spirits and you'll win. And I think we saw that against Seattle more than any other team this year. Can they keep it up against the Raiders and the NFC East opponents, do you think? Like, is there like a stellar run defense in our remaining 6 games? Because I personally don't really think there is. And that means that this team and the identity they've built on offense can hopefully continue, I think.
Probably if I had to rate the defenses remaining, the Giants would probably have the best run defense left. They can run on them because, we scored 33 on the Giants earlier in the season. So I think I said earlier that we needed to find an identity, and I think this is now the identity. We possess the ball. We we slow methodical drives, put points on the board. Like we had the ball for 38 minutes against Tampa, 35 minutes against Carolina, 41 minutes against Seattle. I mean, you do that with the Raiders, you get 35 minutes against the Raiders, you're going to probably win that game. So that needs to be the mindset. And the line has been blocking at such an exceptional level. It allows Gibson to get into a rhythm. It allows McKissick to come in and get carries and catches. Same thing with Gibson. Gibson had 7 catches on Sunday. So Monday night. So you get to see the versatility of that. So I think that is the identity that's been chosen. And I think that's the identity we need to go with. And that's going to be good for the NFC East because even though, the Cowboys had a good start, they were flying high off the offense. You beat the Cowboys with the offense standing on the sideline. The Eagles are light up front outside of Fletcher Cox. You run up. So I really think the Giants probably have the best run defense left, but you got to stick to it. And I think Scott Turner has chosen to stick to running the ball, and I think it's going to pay dividends in the end.
Well, that is 10 minutes and a couple of seconds over, but that's always fine. Yeah, boys, I think you've said it all, and I think this week's game against the Raiders is really going to tell us a lot about what we can expect with these last 5 weeks of the season following this Raiders game, because they're hot at the moment. The Raiders are not a bad team, though, and obviously it's an East Coast team going west, which is always tricky in and of itself. But if the team wins this week against the Raiders, like at the moment, yeah, technically we're in the playoffs and everything like that, but it's still really on the bubble. A win this week, though, starts to solidify that, and I think will instill this team with a lot of belief going into those last 5 weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Robbie and Felix, I know you'll be watching and covering it like you always do, like absolute champions. Any last words from either of you before we wrap this up?
I wouldn't sleep on the Eagles, but other than that, I feel pretty good about what we got left.
I like it. Felix?
This losing Sunday wouldn't be the worst thing because it's not a conference loss. The reason they're in that spot they're in is they're 5-2 in the NFC. Yep. So losing that game, that's okay with 5 remaining left. I do think they go 4-2 over the last 6 games.
4-2 would be amazing, and 4-2 would put them into the playoffs, considing at the very minimum 3 of those games would be in the NFC East, which would leave us 4-2 in the NFC. So in the NFC. So yeah, that'd be huge.
I just have that feeling.
I agree. I agree. And look, I want to wrap this up, but I agree. I feel like there are more wins than losses in this team's future to run out the 2021 season. Let's see how correct we are. Win or lose, we're going to be here at the Washington Wrap, so make sure you're always touching base with us and finding out what we're saying and thinking and doing, and if we've been correct or if we've been incorrect. We love hearing from you guys, letting us know what you agree with and what you disagree with. So if you're watching us on social media, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, under our names here, you'll see our Twitter handles. Reach out to us on Twitter. If you're listening to this in the podcast, I'm at ChadWeekoTWW. Robbie is at Robbie Duncan OL, and Felix is at HUTR and Blessed. You can find the Washington Wrap everywhere just by searching for the Washington Wrap, podcasts, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. We really appreciate you listening or watching and engaging however you do. Leave us a rating, leave us a review, subscribe, like us, everything that you can do to follow us and support our work. We always appreciate it. Robbie and Felix, speaking of appreciate, always appreciate talking football with you guys, and we'll see you next week.